I Laser Beams EX Episode 2 with your hosts Flashman EXE and
Breakman EXE.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a while since our last column.
Couple weeks, huh?
Yep, actually 2 weeks to the day.
Really?
Yeah, we're keeping this bi-weekly thing going on pretty well, I see.
Not even trying. Just that good or that lazy.
Probably that lazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's our topic for tonight?
This time around we were going to do a discussion about older EXE games versus the newer ones.
Oh yeah. We were totally going to go there.
Yep, we were.
And we're totally going to get flamed for it.
We might. Well, actually, we most likely will.
We most likely will, yes.
It really depends on what we have to say and how much sugar people have had.
Well then, let's go ahead and get directly to the slaughter, because the longer we wait, the more dreadful it'll become.
The more pain.
Yes, the more pain. Well, the EXE games did change quite a bit with the transition from EXE3 to EXE4, huh?
Didn't they, though?
Yeah, I really felt like EXE3 was going to be the natural stopping point for the series.
And, you know, you would be totally justified in believing that. It really did come to a dramatic, climactic ending.
It really did, and I actually know people who refused to play any games after EXE3 because they felt
Really?
like the ending was... Oh yeah, they felt like the ending was so good that it couldn't be topped in later EXE games, and to an
Wow.
extent, you can't blame them for feeling that way.
It was a great ending, for sure.
It really was. It wrapped up...
They might be missing out on some stuff that they might have enjoyed, though.
Yeah, they might very well be, but on the other hand, they're certainly not missing out on some of the disappointments that the later games brought into play.
Granted, but, you know, the first three weren't exactly gems of perfection themselves.
No, they weren't, and that's what we're here to talk about tonight. We're going to discuss the changes, differences, and nitpicks for the classic EXE games versus the newer ones, and what we feel like the series that ended up evolving into.
Okay.
It's kind of hard because whenever I go into a GameStop or an EB Games or, you know, any one of those places that, you know, when you're in there, I mean, admit it, you're generally not going in there to buy new games. And it's, this actually does
Generally
have...
going in to browse.
You're going in to browse, or you're going in to look for some, you know, rare treasure on the shelves that's, you know, old or hard to find. Something you can't get at Best Buy or a store that sells new software.
I found a sealed copy of the Mega Man 8 Anniversary Collection for PlayStation once.
Wow, that is a find.
Yeah.
I found a copy of Mega Man for Game Gear. Top that.
Hard to do.
But
Although I did once have some retarded salesman try to sell me a copy of the European version of EXE3 and try to tell me that it was Japanese when it clearly said Mega Man Battle
Mega
Network
Man.
3 on the label.
Oh man. Well, knowing that some of our members on the board work for game stores, and I'm sure they can probably empathize with this, it seems like whenever you go in there, and this happens to me a lot, I'll admit, I'm kind of a person who likes to have multiple copies of the same game, especially the Battle Network games, because I like to be able to trade chips back and forth between different versions. And
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, I really am. I am one of those. And when I was in there recently, I bought myself another copy of Mega Man Battle Network 4 Blue Moon. And the clerk behind the counter told me...
Another one?
Yeah, I did.
You know I still have one that belongs to you.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So anyway, I actually wanted 2 copies of the game so that I could send one to a friend, and I just happened to get some chips off of Red Sun. But anyway, the point is, I bought another copy while I was in there, used. It was on sale. It was like $9, and the guy behind the counter made a comment to me, and he said, you know, I really don't like the Mega Man games because I feel like
here it goes.
Yeah, you know what they're getting ready to say. I
I
feel like
know.
they Pokemonified the series.
Pokemonified it, and like it's like Yu-Gi-Oh because you use the things and you put them in your deck, and my kid brother plays it, therefore it sucks.
And you know that eventually one of these days somebody is going to stand up and say, I like Go Fish! And someone else is going to say, but they Yu-Gi-Oh'd it too much because you put cards in a deck.
Oh my, that is stretching.
Stretching only slightly the way that these guys go. But
That's horrible.
while I was standing there and he was
Old
ringing
maid.
me
Oh
up-
yeah, Blue Eyes White Dragon.
while he was ringing me up, and he hands me the game, he tells me that he feels like they Pokemonified the series too much. I said, have you ever played any of the Battle Network games? He said, well, actually, I did play the first one and the second one, I think.
He thinks.
He thinks.
Ooh, excellent way to start off.
I said, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. And now I just turned around and walked out of the store. And when I was...
Did you end up buying the game, or did you leave it in disgust?
No, I bought the game.
Ah.
But when I left the store, I sat there and I mused to myself, if this person was truly disgusted with the first two games, and in my personal opinion, I realize there are others who will disagree with me, I think the first three games are the best in the series.
Burn the witch!
If he stopped right at the good point, I realized right then and there was absolutely no hope of making him want to play the games ever again. I couldn't explain to him that really the Mega Man games are something, because I realize I'm a fan of the Mega Man series and not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's what I want to talk about tonight, is how the series evolved. Is it really true? Did the Mega Man series really become Pokemonified? Or is that just something that people say because they don't understand the series and they're not willing to invest the time and effort and money that it would take to become a fan of it?
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
So where should we start?
Well, I think we should start at the beginning. Right where the series really got into the thick of things. And of course, we're talking about the 6 canon games. 4.5, Transmission, Battle Chip,
BCC.
GP. Yeah, those don't count. We're just here to talk about the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the main storyline, the bulk of the series.
Alternate versions aside, because it's the same game.
Absolutely, yes. And I think we should start with Battle Network 1, because that really was the beginning. That's where it all starts.
True, true.
Battle Network 1 introduced a lot of concepts to the Mega Man series at the time that were really radical, because obviously up until that point we didn't really have any of the spin-offs. I mean, it was pretty much Classic and X and Dash, and wow, here comes this new kid.
It's like, OMG, what is this?
Yeah, this is
this an RPG? Is this an action? What is this?
We didn't know. I remember I picked up the Battle Network game. I'm thinking I got to go and fight this robot, and he's going to give me this weapon. Then I go and fight the... Whoa, wait.
I don't get to choose which guy?
Yeah, they get stronger. Why does the first guy have like 200 HP and the last guy have like 1,015?
I can't charge my Mega Shot!
Exactly, and you sit there and you go,
Where's
wow.
Metal Blade?
Yeah, where are all of the things that I've become so accustomed to for all of these great games that I'm familiar with playing that, you know, are with the...
I totally could have jumped over that shockwave, man, if only I had a jump button.
But instead they give me this buster and tell me it's a privilege. Oh, here you go. You can use the Mega Buster when you're not using chips. I don't want to use chips. This isn't fun.
I want to jump and ride my dog for everlasting peace.
And I went and drowned my sorrows in Mega Man 8 for no less than 6 days.
Did you really?
Yes, I really did. I actually dropped EXE1 and immediately went back and started playing Mega Man 8 because I said, this game is not fun. I'm never playing this again, ever.
And so what happened?
Well, then I met you, and from there you challenged my manhood, and at this point now I'm addicted. Thanks, Breakman, you jerk. Actually, no, I was an EXE fan before I met you, obviously, you know that. But nonetheless, I really did, after EXE1, I kind of got back on track, and, you know, The first Battle Network game, like we were saying, introduces a lot of new concepts, and
And
it
they were still
introduced
trying most
yeah.
of it out. I mean, it was really
There
the
was yeah, there was getting their feet wet.
yeah.
That stage, it was like, okay, here we go. We're starting off with a new series. And you remember what a leap, it was from X to Dash. I mean, you play Dash and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Why? You know, this game's called Dash. Why can't I dash? Where's my wall climbing? Yeah.
Eh. And then you played, from the leap from Dash to EXE, and I realize a lot of fans got in on EXE. I mean, I know people that started on EXE 6.
Wow.
And that's kind of an interesting jumping point, Okay, this looks like a great series. I'm going to start at the end. Ugh. Not me. I had to play the games through in order. I will admit I beat 3 first, but I did play the games through in order. And I was not going to be, I've always been a gamer like that tries to do everything, in a...
Right, especially where RPGs are concerned, that
You
actually
have
have
to, yeah.
sequels.
If you want to understand what's going on, you have to. And so Battle Network 1 had a lot of concepts that were unique to that version of the game. It didn't have, it was bare basics. There was no Navi customizer, no soul unison, no style change.
There was no truly important program advance system to work with. I mean, yeah, there are program advances, but no one ever used them.
They weren't necessary. You didn't need to perform you couldn't even record program advance notes in your library. You couldn't even
Yeah.
Yeah, so you if you didn't have the internet or the ability to, if you didn't have a strategy guide to reference, there was no real way of knowing how many program advances there really were in the game. I mean, you would probably be stuck using canon A, B, and C over and over again because you wouldn't be thinking of other program advances. And, or you'd be sitting there looking for longsword in 3 different codes so you could try that out. But
Only to realize it's not nearly as cool as you thought it would be.
No, it wasn't. And the Navi chips in EXE1, when you use them, you can't even tell if they hit until the Navi has disappeared off the field.
Isn't that useful?
That was really off the wall. And bosses, there are some bosses that no matter how hard you hit them, they won't flinch, they won't reel. So you could just stand there and just keep hitting them with the same attack over and over again.
Granted, we had a general idea of, well, this guy is obviously water-based, so I can use an electrical attack against him, and that's really as Pokemonified as it got.
Pretty much. You saw with Magic Man, for instance, you might be sitting there thinking, I can use an ice attack against him because he uses fire, but he wasn't fire at all. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, Stone Man, this guy's got to be wood because he's earth elemental, and he wasn't susceptible to fire any more than he was any other element. So there was a lot of guessing. I remember I never figured out that Magnet Man was a Lek until I played EXE5, and I always thought Gravity Man was a Lek and didn't realize it until I got his first ship. So there are certain things that, when you play the various Battle Network games, you can't really figure out on your own, and you need someone there to help you. But Battle Network 1 was definitely, like we said, it was the start of everything. And it was a good game, but the thing that I always had a problem with Battle Network 1 is it kind of felt rushed. The game honestly really did feel rushed, like it took, it was...
It felt complete, but at the same time, it felt unpolished.
It felt very unpolished, yes. It felt like...
But granted, I think that most of that is that it was the first game of that type. It really had nothing to go off of in the first place. And that's why I think it felt kind of clunky.
That's why we can't throw too many stones at Ryusei no Rockman either, because it's in its first game phase. So it's not going to be... And while it has EXE to springboard off of, that's kind of unfair because EXE had Dash to springboard off of. So technically,
well, then again, be a little more honest. Like, yeah, it had Dash to springboard off of as being the new RPG type thing, but in my opinion, Dash wasn't really enough, like, of a traditional RPG per se to make that statement valid. And besides the people that really, really, truly like Dash, and as opposed to just in passing, like, how many people do you think cared?
Touche. But the point is, Ryusei is in its infancy, just like EXE once was.
True.
And getting to EXE, when EXE one started, it definitely introduced a lot of radical and kind of unusual concepts. People still thought they were robots. People still thought that they were called,
When do I get
robot
energy
masters.
tanks?
Exactly. They weren't really understanding the difference between they thought it was an RPG with Mega Man and he got a new design. Yeah. But
So this kid with the skates and the headband, he's
what
Mega Man,
is
right?
yeah, and he puts on his blue armor when he goes into the internet and
I knew it.
yeah, but that wasn't happening at all. Another problem with Battle Network 1 that I honestly do admit was so sincerely improved upon in the other games is that you never really had any way of knowing what internet area you were in.
Oh, jeez, I know. It was
Oh,
it
yeah, they all
labyrinth.
looked
It was
the
a pure
same.
labyrinth.
It
Like,
really was a labyrinth.
like, thank God for people like Mega Boy who went out of his way to document the different
maps.
areas and to make maps showing what led where. We'd be.
Yes,
I
thank
know
you,
I'd
Mega
be
Boy.
lost without him.
You have no clue what you're doing when you're tooling around the internet in EXE1. You're just
Like,
hoping
oh,
you run into some
hey,
shop.
which area is this? The area where I'm, not supposed to run away from any battles, or is this the area where I'm supposed to do really crappy on battles, or is this the area where I'm just supposed to run through it? I don't remember.
Hi, I'm a net dealer, but I'm sold out of stuff right now.
Well, thanks. That helps me a lot. Oh crap! I went that way, and now I can't go back.
All right, and I'm running along, and I just ran into Color Man V3. And I have swords in my folder.
Wah, wah, wah.
Okay. But yeah, Battle Network 1 was confusing, and it wasn't perfect. It was the start, and it was a rough
It was still
start.
fun, and once people
But it
got
was.
used to their initial hang-ups about what they thought it was supposed to be,
And
a lot
realizing
of people
instead what it
really
was.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they had to enjoy it, otherwise we wouldn't be here today. And as we move from Battle Network 1, we go to its sequel, Battle Network 2, which
Battle
is
Network 2.
honestly, Battle Network 2 is probably, it's definitely my second favorite, right past Battle Network 3. But Battle Network 2 definitely took Battle Network 1, and they fixed so many nitpicks with it. You lost the ability to heal after each fight, yes. Okay.
Honestly, I didn't mind that so much. I complained about it at first. I was like, "Oh, they made it so hard," but all it does is force you to get better.
It does. It
Because
forces you to get
EXE1
better,
handed
yeah.
you a lot of stuff on a platter.
It really did. In Battle Network 2, I remember, first fighting Airman and thinking, okay, he's going to stand there for like 5 seconds. Then he's going to move to another panel. And when I saw Airman rocketing around his side of the field compared to how the EXE1 bosses move,
He has attacks that, turn directions. OMG.
wow, this is unusual. I'm going to have to use more than just cannon to defeat him.
I almost didn't defeat him my first time.
I remember fighting Airman. I'm like, okay, I'm charging my Buster. And it's not making him flinch. A charged shot does not make him
Oh
flinch.
yeah!
Wow, this is unusual and interesting. I will have to do better.
My
And you
Buster's
did.
not nearly as powerful as it used to be.
And once you realize that you couldn't go charging your Buster, oh man, the EXE2 Buster compared to the EXE1. And once you realize you actually had to do something to earn your points. Wow, this actually started getting fun. And then you went around and you realized that the knobby chips were probably far more useful because they weren't all auto-aiming the way the ones in EXE1
Exactly.
were.
They started having tricks to them, and that made them more fun.
Absolutely.
That coupled with the new and improved program advanced system,
And the
the
Then-
BBSs.
the BBSs, the style change, the sub-chips. There were a lot of new concepts introduced in Battle Network 2, ones that ended up sticking through with the series.
And
I think one of
even the ones that didn't sure made it fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. Battle Network 2 had a lot of really memorable things about it, and it introduced a lot of things that ended up becoming really important, like classic program advances such as Poison Pharaoh.
Dream
I
Sword
Dream Sword, yes, the true Dream Sword, the way it should have been done.
in three
Uh,
different forms.
Gate Magic,
Oh
Countdown Plus.
man.
You could do some great stuff in
Yeah,
Battle Network 2.
Gate Magic. Sure, that was a lifesaver, but man, that got old fast.
It did get old fast,
And
and
granted, that's still something that carries over. You will always
yeah,
have the one program advance or chip combo that will be abused till the end of time.
such
It's
as
unavoidable.
Silver Bullet or Pile Driver,
No
you
kidding.
know, Overshine. There are just a bunch of combos, and but Battle Network 2 really actually. Battle Network 2 introduced probably the most important concept as far as the Battle Network games go, I think. The ability to have unicoded folders.
Yes,
That
yes.
that was, wow, I can use this chip in conjunction with this other chip here.
Battle Network 2 was so much more flexible in terms of folder construction. Battle Network 1, you basically threw whatever you liked into your folder. Okay, this does 120 damage, Q code, alright, let's toss that in. This does 200 damage, B, alright, let's go ahead and toss that in there. I like that one. Ooh, I like this sword. It's like big and it kills things with power. Yeah, okay, let's use that. Why not? A stone cube, I can punch it. Yeah, that's super. And you've got an alphabet soup that you're taking up
Yes.
against like Shadow Man or Forte,
Or Pharaoh
and
Man.
and, and you're getting away with it. No, 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 no. And EXE2 just about punishes you for even trying to reconstruct your alphabet soup.
No, you really can't in EXE2. It forces you to think your way through the game. The loss of Higsby's chip shop is probably one of the most critical blows dealt to you right off the bat, because now you have to actually go hunting down
Number Man.
Number Man on the internet.
And the
And you're
various
like,
vendors that are
and the
hopping
vendors,
around. They're like,
yes,
hey, I
that
just
pop
happen
around.
to have these two chips that would be great for a program advance if you could actually beat that guy over there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll think about it and come down, and maybe the prices will be cheaper. Huh, no, they're not. And, never... Battle Network 2 also introduced another quite vicious concept. Those nice little guard statues in the World 3 area.
Oh, the
Everybody loves
Protectos.
the Protectos.
Oh, wasn't that great? You know, I'm surprised that they didn't use those for more games than they did.
Oh, they really needed to. Because the Protectos, you couldn't go up against and be like, I used my blues chip because it pwns! Oh, he not the hit, because need more power.
Exactly. Like, what I really loved about it is that they forced you to rethink your strategy. No matter how good you thought you were, they made you force yourself to get better in order to get past them.
And Battle Network 2 even had something in there for those who like to cheat. They could get the tournament exclusive chips, and if they really felt like using their Game Shark.
Or if they
could,
happen to have, you know, a time machine and an airplane ticket to Japan, they could get them
well,
legit.
Yeah, they could.
You know, that's for all of us that can afford time machines.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I mean, if you want to put 35, Forte BSX GFs in your folder, I'm not going to stop you.
But
But even still, Battle Network 2 was definitely the pillar, I think, on which the EXE series was founded.
it definitely improved over the original by leaps and bounds.
It absolutely. And then came Battle Network 3. And Battle Network 3 stepped in to clarify certain things that Battle Network 2 was almost too lenient on. Whereas Battle Network 1 gave you certain things, just, here you go. Here, you can do this, and totally no problem. We have no problem with you
All
doing
right,
it.
thanks.
Yeah, like being able to stand in front of the Dream Virus and just pummel it. Haha, no. Battle Network 2 steps in there and says, well, here you go, you're going to have to think a little harder now. And Battle Network 3 stepped in there and said, now you're really going to have to start working. Guess what? For starters, not every chip is available in Unicode. and you could see the previous two Battle Network games, their jaws
that still
dropping.
upsets me.
It
Honestly,
does.
it really does.
It was an upsetter, I will admit. But think about this. That forced you to seek out combos that would work, and it forced you to
Yeah,
stop.
it did. It did. I won't deny
Remember,
it.
think about this. Remember how in Battle Network 1 you could park in front of the chip trader and cheat it by
Save in front of it, yeah.
Save in front of it, and then put your chips in.
I'm glad
Remember
they
how
changed that out in EXE2 though, because it
Battle
was
Network 2 took that feature out, and Battle Network 3 kind of did the same thing by taking out the ability to have a cheap Unicode folder.
true.
Battle Network 3 also introduced another concept, chip class types, more than just...
Yeah, standard, megas, and gigas.
And gigas. You can't have 5 Navi chips in folder LAN. What? What? But I'm gonna put things in my Tetris grid. Haha! No, because you can make your Mega Man all messed up, and he'll dance around the field like his pants are on fire and shoot bouquets of flowers out of his buster.
I loved that. I loved that so much.
That was comedy gold. And if you were willing to fight with a broken Mega Man, you could maybe possibly
Of course,
earn yourself
yeah,
Dog style.
Yeah, you could get yourself glitch doggy style. On a side note, I was always kind of surprised that they didn't more liken bug style, make more of a reference to gospel than they did. Obviously that's where the
anime took care of that loose end for you, but...
You know what? Shut up!
That's true. I don't think anybody really counts the anime as canon for anything.
No. Although, granted, on a personal level, I kind of count Access as being more canon than I do EXE4, but that's me.
I count Access as the best achievement the anime
no.
was able to muster up.
Everyone hates me now.
But Battle Network 3 also introduced another cool concept. Hey, you can't have 2 style changes anymore. Now you get 1.
Let's sigh. Too bad you can't overwrite normal style. Lol.
Well,
Actually, that would come back to bite you. It really would.
That really would, absolutely. I don't know what it is. No matter what version of the game I play, no matter what chips I use, I almost always end
Also,
up
wasn't that also the first game that Saito Batch came back in the form of a customizer block as opposed to a style change?
Correct. That would be correct. EXE2 is the only game which gives you Saito style.
Yeah.
And EXE3, I don't know why, but no matter what version of the game I play, what chips I use, however I play, I always seem to end up with Heat Custom right before I fight Bubble Man.
I swear they give that to you on purpose just to piss you off.
I really think they do set you up that way. And then,
I can't think of a situation in which I've ever gotten anything other than a Heat style before fighting Bubble Man.
I can't either.
So I'm like, yeah, super style! It's with fire! Fire's awesome! Especially the fire gutsy thing with the machine gun. Yeah! Oh, hell.
And then you sit there and you go, oh wait, I've got heat shield. This is even worse.
I'll block your shot! Crap!
And so, the first 3 Battle Network games introduced a lot of the concepts that would later become foundation stones. EXE3's Navi Customizer, and...
the legendary Navi Customizer.
Absolutely. EXE3 also introduced the first really founding basis for dark and light. Yes, you couldn't really use dark chips in EXE3, but there were certain conditions you would have to meet.
Yes, the holes.
Yes, you would have to be almost willing to set up a cheap or it felt wrong being able to use certain chips in EXE3. Like, oh, you have to summon a hole to do this? This feels kind of strange. And it was interesting, but because it really brought about the first beginnings of showing Mega Man not always being a heroic and pure character.
But granted, at that point, it was still only a hint of that actually happening.
Yeah.
Like you said, we didn't really have dark chips per se yet. That was just as close as we had to them at that point.
And you weren't doing anything wrong if you put Darkman in your folder. He wasn't going to have any lasting effect.
Exactly.
He was a Navi summon just like any of the other characters were. And then came Battle Network 4.
After how many years?
After quite a bit. Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a delay between Battle Network 3 and 4.
Like, after Battle Network 3, we didn't hear anything for, I don't even remember how long. It seemed like forever. And I thought the series was over, and I was like, it's sad that it's over, but wow, it ended on such a great note.
And then they dropped Battle Network 4 in our laps.
And we're like, whoa, where'd this come from? How long have they been planning this? Whoa, they're doing it again. Awesome, let's do it.
And then we actually bought the game and started playing it.
Well, actually, I downloaded the Japanese version like a bad boy. When it came out.
You downloaded a ROM?
I'm afraid so. I don't have it anymore. I was much younger, what can I say? And I have since paid for the game 3 times over.
You downloaded a ROM?
Oh, come on. It's not like I'm the only one.
You too, huh? Well, at least I don't feel as guilty now. Anyway...
Well, I did buy the actual game, so I feel...
I own 5 copies of the game, so don't even start with me. I don't want to hear it.
That's sad. But yeah, I played the Japanese version of the game, and I was like, expecting
Where's Shotgun? Where did Shotgun
Where's Shotgun?
I want my Shotgun back now.
Awesome, I'm playing. I don't really understand what's going on because I can't read any of these squiggled characters. Okay, go into the folder. Let's see what the hell is that?
Where did all
Vulcan? What's Vulcan?
Only no, we were reading it and translating it with Babelfish, and it kept coming
Barkin.
back as Balkan Peninsula. I still don't know what a Balkan Peninsula is.
It's I don't know, a Russian thing, something.
Maybe, I don't know. It's I guess it's
geography is not my forte.
Yeah.
But I have heard of the Balkans, but I don't want one in my folder. I want Shotgun. Where's my Shotgun? Oh wait, This is Shotgun, just not and better. Okay, I guess I can live with this. Okay, now I'm gonna go and fight. Okay, cool. It's the standard, startup battle. Sweet. They're gonna tell me how to play the game. They're actually telling me about news. What? I can't add.
Why did Mega Man
turn into
that's not
much of a surprise, but
why is Mega Man glowing and orbiting himself? What is this?
What is this?
Why is this happening?
Whatever. I'm gonna bust you guys with my Buster arm.
I did 2x damage. This am the great. Now what do I do?
Oh, that's what it does. Okay, now let me line up this. Wait a minute. I should have been able to dodge that just fine.
Why am I moving so slow? I should be moving faster. Hey, Mega Man, dodge that attack, huh? What? Ow! Why didn't you tell me to dodge that attack, Lan? 'Cause I did, and you weren't listening, huh? What? Ow!
No,
Stop hitting me!
I'm serious. It has to be because from that point in the series on, they were using wireless connections, and there's always a lag.
There always is a lag for a wireless connection. And Battle Network 4.
Listen to me. I'm actually justifying the slowdown of the battle engine on your end. Screw that. I'm just going to call it an oversight or something, or just something that they intentionally did to piss me off. Yeah, let's do that.
And then came the tournament system. Okay.
I have nothing to say here.
All right.
No, actually, I take that back. I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it here.
I would like to be able to fight a set of bosses in order and be able to determine which opponents I get to fight.
For that matter, shouldn't there be story going on? I thought there was a giant meteor going to kill everybody.
Well, yeah,
what's going on with that?
Battle Network 4 is the first game I can genuinely understand someone saying they Pokemonified it.
Yeah.
It was definitely the first game that showed signs of that. The loss of the style change system I took as a personal insult.
And granted, the idea
soul
of
unisons were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the style change was outdated. Yeah. But I missed my style changes.
You could actually hold on to it for the duration of the battle.
You also, with style changes, could influence what you were going to get. with soul unisons, you took whichever two the game decided to throw at you after the obligatory Aqua Soul or Gut Soul, depending on which version you played, and I absolutely despised that. I hated the fact that you would have to play the game through so many times to get things that by all rights you should be able to achieve just at the end of a normal EXE game.
Which, thankfully, they justified in every subsequent game.
It was forced replay value, and
Yep.
that felt cheap. And then came Battle Network 5. And Battle Network 5 actually attempted to fix some of the mistakes Battle Network 4 made.
And it did a good job. I enjoyed the crap out of Battle Network 5.
Battle Network 5 was a great game. And
It had undertones of, like, the same level of fun I had with EXE2. It had a similar feel to it. It really did.
It really did. Battle Network 5 introduced, I thought the Liberation missions, okay, say what you like about them being repetitive, I thought the Liberation missions were fresh and innovative. And
I was used to the concept because one of my friends is into tabletop strategy games with little miniatures and whatnot. So,
oh yeah, so
like the idea
actually,
of these guys having different ranges and whatnot, that was nothing foreign to me.
No, absolutely. I've played board games and I like Risk, and I was used to strategy myself, so it was a completely and totally familiar concept.
It was just really weird having it in an EXE game.
But it felt right. They implemented it correctly, and it genuinely did feel like it was. My only complaint.
I'm sure I would like to be able to open the custom window on my own, though. Thank you very much.
The only problem I had with the Liberation missions was I felt like they kept recycling too few bosses. Whereas Battle Network 4 had no shortage of bosses to throw at you.
Yeah, they didn't even bother changing up the enemy set until you actually went and opened the dark portals, didn't they?
They didn't really, and with Battle Network 5, you would just be essentially fighting the same 4 Dark Lloyds over and over and over again. You couldn't even fight Dark Rockman or Dark Blues or Dark Colonel once you were in the Nebula holes because those were storyline events. You would be still repetitively fighting Shade Man and Blizzard Man and Cloud Man and Cosmo Man over and over and over again. And while they're cool characters and they are genuinely a challenge to fight, after a while,
I'm kind of sick of them.
Felt monotonous. I really would have liked some different bosses. And
that's like what they did in the anime with killing characters off and bringing them back time and time again. Not like I needed to tell you about that, Flash.
Well, thanks for the reminder. At least I wasn't played through in Beast and Beast Plus.
Yeah.
One of the things I honestly disliked about Battle Network 5, and like you said, comparing it to the anime, is it felt like the first EXE season kept recycling the same bosses over and over again. It's Fireman! Again. It's Elecman! Again. It's Colorman! Again. We already fought him. Again and again.
Magic Man didn't come back too many times, though.
Magic Man didn't, thankfully.
Mahajaram was too busy running the curry shop.
Yeah, he didn't have time to be dealing with punk idiot kids on rollerblades.
Exactly, curry's much more important.
Battle Network 5 felt the same because here you go, it's a slightly more powerful version of Cloudman.
You thought you got rid of me? Whoosh!
Okay, it's Cloudman again. So I'm going to use Chaos Tomahawk Soul. Again.
Ho hum. Granted, getting there is the hard part.
Granted, getting there is the hard part. It's certainly no small chore being able to work your way up in Battle Network 5, but it is worth it. It really is. It makes you feel like you actually
Battle Network 5, I was totally in it for the story. Like,
you were.
Any problems that I had with Liberation missions were just totally put by the wayside. It had a great story. It had a continual storyline that stopped here and there for little pauses, but kept going at a steady pace, and I really liked that. That was what powered my mission through EXE5.
My only complaint with Battle Network 5 in terms of the story was I felt like they took the advantage, and they took the ability to write Lan's friends out of the storyline, and in so doing, I feel like they set themselves up for EXE6 almost the same way, because they deliberately wrote the main characters out of the story so that Lan would be able to meet new characters and that the series wouldn't feel stale.
Yeah, granted, but dang it, I still want to be able to go talk to Meru-chan and have her like, hey, Roll's on my computer, you should go say hi to her, she'll give you my link.
I
Or,
like being
or
able
hey,
to fight.
what's up? I'm gonna like destroy you with Gutsman because I'm like the better guy than you.
There you go.
And be able to, be able to polish your new folder on Gutsman's carcass.
You should be that was one of the things that was great about Battle Network 3. You could go fight Gutsman and get as many bug frags as you needed. And countering actually seemed like it was a much more stable concept in Battle Network 3 than it was in the later games. Like,
well, you could do it with
damage,
a regular Buster Shot.
Buster Shot, yeah.
Jeez.
Battle Network 3. Okay, cool. I'm gonna be using my Buster and getting some bug frags. Battle Network 4. Okay, the 2 times damage just isn't worth it. I'd rather have the bug frag thing back. Battle Network 5.
Hold on. Granted.
How do you earn bug frags in this game? I can't get bug frags. I need 100 of them to get this Giga class chip. I want my Battle Network 3 back. Oh, well, you need to go.
Well, you can get them just fine, assuming Colonel doesn't destroy them.
Or assuming that anybody else on your team that attacks instead of healing you doesn't destroy them. Like, wow, check out my tomahawk swing. I can cut through the greatest of green mystery datas with this. Chop, 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 chop. All your Zinnier belong to me.
Come to think of it, that was really the biggest problem I had with EXE5. Not just the liberation missions and, they're so repetitive, but throughout the whole game, you pretty much take a folder and you edit it slightly as you go through it because the game seems to be at one set difficulty the whole way. And it really never gets any worse until, boom, Nebula Gray. OMG, what am I going to do? I've got cactus balls in my folder. This doesn't work.
I remember for Nebula Gray, I was thinking, he's going to be like Duo. He's going to stay in the front row and hop around occasionally, and all I have to do is just peg him with strong projectile ho-ho-ho. He's Nebula King, man. He uses things to protect himself. Why? Why is this happening to me?
Why does this hurt with pain?
I throw this weapon at you, it not work because, uh-oh, Spice 2 can't use that here. What? I'll use Proto Man. He can't use that here either. What? Why? Because he can't stand on a hole. I really want my Battle Network 3 back.
That's the underlying theme of this ELB, isn't it?
It really is. And then came Battle Network 6, which was the end-all to end-all. Oh, wow. This is
Battle
the
Network
ultimate.
6 was a great game.
It was.
But from the beginning when it was announced, and even now, especially now, I did not like taking Neto away from his hometown and putting him somewhere completely new and expecting everything to be absolutely fine. I did not like being forced to leave Akihara-cho. I wanted to stay there. I wanted to see the people that I had grown to know.
Grown up with.
Exactly. 5 games I've known these characters, and you are kicking them out of the story and delegating them to cameo appearances.
Hi.
Why?
I'm Gutsman. We're gonna have a net battle. I cannot tell you how excited I was. I thought
battle routine set. Exit plot point.
5. Oh, I was so excited to be able to fight Gutsman in Battle Network 6, and
no.
Epic fail. Nope, you don't get to fight him. You know why?
Because you fail it.
It's time for Air Fireman and Hides Underwater Man to come along and spoil the fun for you. Ha 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 ha.
Freaking jerks.
I hate the World 3. And so then you sit there and you're like, okay,
Come to think of it, how did Wily survive the destruction of the World 3 base in EXE1?
How did
he get his brain out of the internet?
I was like, getting out of a burning building is easy compared to that. How did Wily survive? You know what?
Dr. Wily, it's you! Yes, it's me. How did you get your brain out of Alpha? I got better.
Why does Wily sound cooler than he really should in your little parody? What we should be saying is, "Ho-ho, it's Dr. Wily, how'd you get out of Alpha?" Well, that's because you're on my lawn, kid. Get off of it.
Now world is mine!
I said, how did you get out of Alpha? What's that? I can't hear you. Speak up, boy. The end game's about to begin. But Dr. Wily, that was in the first game. What, you stupid kids? I'm gonna have to start something new. Bass, go get them. My name is Bass.
Unfortunately, I don't have time to deal with you!
Clown boss. What? It's another clown boss!
Oh, man.
Epic clown boss. Right when you're getting ready to do something heroic, a clown boss shows up to stop you.
Damn!
It happens every game. Oh, and Battle Network 6 introduced the legendary Beast Out. Ooh.
I'll tell you, though, I really... You know, as far as souls versus crosses go, I'd have to say I vastly prefer the cross system.
The cross system was a great idea. The only complaint I have with the cross system is, oh no, disengage after one counter elemental hit. Not in the fun. Because you actually, that was a good idea in that you could disengage a cross forcefully if you were in one and you didn't want to be in it any longer.
Uh-huh.
Bad idea if you're sitting there and you're fighting like, oh, I don't know, hey, you're playing the Felta version of the game and you're getting ready to fight Judge Man. And you're like, oh, this guy's null, he's not going to use any, wow, he's using elemental attacks and I'm an Aqua Cross crud! Bam! Whipped for 8,000 billion damage because you just happened to be in your Aqua Cross and get nailed by the electric cattle prod. Oh, that was annoying, I will admit. The Beast Out system was a cool idea, and being a Gryga fan, I really have to say, I thought the Gryga Beast Out was vastly superior to the Felter Beast Out, but they were both good for different reasons.
I agree,
But I felt like the one thing I will say for Battle Network 6, say what you like about it, it was a great improvement over the dark versus light. Oh wow, can't have this chip in your folder because it's bad for you.
I definitely was glad
this,
to
yeah.
see the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I don't know, there was just a whole underlying... There was just something about it that didn't didn't feel quite at home.
Battle Network 6 had, I think, a great critical problem, and I felt like it ended the series abruptly. The Battle Network series being so popular did not need to end so quickly. They really could have stood to let it go out another game, have a homecoming for LAN, more than just a, well, you're back in town, well, it's time to graduate. Oh, we're gonna miss you, LAN, here you go, here's World V3, go off and fight for everlasting peace. It really needed, I think, one more Battle Network game to give us some kind of closure, and granted...
Everything started in Akihara. It should end in Akihara.
What happens in Akihara stays in Akihara.
It should. It really should, in my opinion.
It really should.
Because, I mean, like...
For crying
It just
out loud,
didn't feel right to be
you
going
couldn't go to-
again on this fight to end all fights. The most ultimate of ultimate final battles. The final battle. It did not feel right going in without your longtime friends, known for years, backing you up every step of the way.
Absolutely, they did it in all of the other games. They backed you up for the Dream Virus, they backed you up for Gospel, they backed you up for Alpha, they even backed you up for Duo, they backed you up for Nebula Grey. Why were they not there when you needed them to fight your respective wolf/flying owl buzzard version enemy?
Granted, you've got your new friend, the new guys, hanging out with you and being like, "It's okay, you can do it!" But it just... The attachment was not there. The emotional strings that was supposed to pull...
You felt like you were sitting there, and you were hearing, "I love you, Mega Man!" And you were going, what am I fighting for? That's essentially what...
Zello!
was. Yes. It was Zello. That's what it was. Colonel, I did not like. I am sorry. I was infuriated with how they handled Colonel as a character for Battle Network 6. He was
I
so
think the
cool.
idea they had for what his character was going through was great. A great idea, a
Execution was
great plot
poor.
twist. I just don't think it was handled properly.
Could have been done so much better. I am the guy. I was your leader. I am betraying you for reasons I can't explain to you.
Even then,
Huh?
once it gets down to it, he really doesn't explain himself very well at why he needs to be destroying the world in order to do what he's trying to do. It's like, I had
Yeah,
to do this so that I could do this because I have a
yeah.
debt to repay. Well,
I have
couldn't
a
you have
debt
like
for
done this on the side over here with our help because we have
Colonel.
stuff to help you?
Colonel, we were liberating dark panels like 3 weeks ago. Why are you acting like a jerk, Colonel?
Enough of this! We must kung fu fight!
Oh, okay, let's fight Colonel. Oh, okay, I beat
Cape in the
Colonel.
face!
I disappear. What? Oh, and...
You are too weak for me. Bye-bye.
yeah, that just, it felt, honestly. And Battle Network 6 went out of their way to bring back some characters I really was happy to see return, like Heatman and Electman. It was great having those guys back. Why did Battle Network 6 stop there? Why couldn't we have had a Battle Network 7 and see the return of more old foes become allies?
More
Like, I would
old
have
foes
liked
becoming allies, even, more boss characters reused from the classic series as they were wont to do throughout the entire series.
Crystal Man, Gemini Man, Centaur Man,
Wave Man.
Burst Man, Spring Man. I would have liked to have seen any of those characters, and I feel cheated. I would have liked to have seen Turbo Man return from Battleship Challenge. He was a nifty character. I felt like
I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded that. That would have been okay.
he was wasted. He really needed to come back. It was annoying. And Ring would have been a great opportunity to bring in another female cross/soul. It would have been
But alas,
fine.
such
Yeah,
things are not meant to be.
obviously not, because Battle Network 7 is a non-issue. We're not going to get one. It's an end of story. And so now we have to content ourselves, and this is a complaint against Capcom, I think bringing everything full circle. Capcom has a tendency to not finish what they start, and we've
And
seen
for that
before.
matter, to milk a good thing dry.
Mm-hmm. They have a tendency to carry something out too far. They can't give up. They don't know when to give up on certain things.
Seriously, when was the last time you were really, honestly, truly excited about a new Street Fighter game?
You mean a new release of Street Fighter 2?
Essentially, yeah, that's what it ended up being.
Yeah, here's another version of Street Fighter 2.
Ooh, this one has
New characters.
Birdie in it for some reason.
This character
We
has,
must buy.
This character has some spikes on his shoulders, and that makes him cool. You'll buy it. No, I won't. Yeah, yes you will. You don't have a choice.
I fell for that with Super Street Fighter 2, but then again, I didn't buy the other ones, so that's more or less, yeah. But getting back on topic.
Getting back to Mega Man. Capcom had a tendency to not finish what they start, like, Dash 2.
We're still waiting for closure to the classic series. Thank you very much.
We're still waiting for closure to the X series. Thank you very much. Zero ends abruptly. EXE ends abruptly.
I think the Zero series had a bit more of a closure to it, though.
Yeah. And the merger from Zero to ZX, I think, was handled so much better than the merger from EXE to Ryusei. Here you go. It's the future. Things are bright. They're looking up for you. You get to call on
It's 200 years of the future. Don't worry about the details.
Ryusei is like, well, everything operates by radio waves now. We've taken a step down in technology. We went from using pets and battle chips to using cards
and dual discs
and radio. I mean, I don't use the radio. I have a radio in my car. I don't think I've ever turned that thing on. I have a CD player and an iPod, and that's all I care about. Why did things go from the internet, which is wireless, and it links the world, to radio waves? Can you explain this, please? This is a step down.
Another thing I can say about Ryusei is that taking the earlier comments of people saying the series has become too Pokemonified and too much like, oh, say, Yu-Gi-Oh, I think now they are completely justified.
They are, really. I mean, I remember trying to defend Mega Man for years, saying, they're not cards, they're chips, and you don't collect creatures, you fight people. And then, here comes Ryusei, and you're like, all the bosses are animals again. This is almost like X, except it's not anywhere near as cool as X. And
And
why
we're
does the
using dual discs and
and
cards.
the main character, Rockman, does not look like a Rockman. He looks generic. He looks like a generic superhero rather than actually looking like he's worthy of the title of a Rockman. He's not.
I could
I
see his design, us getting used to it, but right now, I'm still trying to get used to it, because, I mean,
I remember
granted, when
how,
EXE
yeah.
came out, and you
I
were
was
like,
like, why didn't he have huge feet and huge hands?
like,
This is
what?
heresy.
What's going on? This isn't Mega Man. And, then you start to play through the games, and you're like, okay, well, he's still got the blue boots and the blue hands, and oh, hey, the yellow stuff on his helmet actually makes the stripy thing like the old helmet. Wow, didn't notice that
Hey,
before.
this
This
is
isn't so
cool.
bad.
Yeah,
Oh, and hey,
this
it's
isn't so
Guts
bad.
Man.
Hey, he looks like Guts Man. This is
And
cool.
but most of those ties have been broken.
Absolutely.
I think the only ties left are battle chip attacks that became cards,
hmm
and the idea of Rockman himself. The idea of
The
Rockman
idea.
himself.
But he doesn't feel like I said, he doesn't feel like a Rockman. I think Harp Note feels more like Roll than Rockman feels like Rockman. And you could tell they really wanted to make. I feel like they designed the other characters and they did Rockman as an afterthought. When you look at Misora, she looks so much like Meru. Her Harp Note merger looks so much like Roll. It feels right. She's a musician. She's got the whole girly heart pink thing going down there. She feels right for the
And
series.
then you've got the
You
main
look at
character who operates Rockman, who dresses completely in red, wears sunglass type things, and angsts for a good portion of the game.
and you sit here and you wonder, wait a minute, are you secretly Enzon?
You're operating the wrong arm dog.
You are, really. You need to get a different arm dog, and maybe I can recommend one that's made out of bugs and frags.
That would be cool, having gospel as your freaking... Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Maybe
And
they'll do that in Ryusei 2.
I think, well, they're already talking about Ryusei too. It
That
won't
is
be
true.
long. We'll
That
be
is true.
seeing it. Holiday season '07. You know how they are.
Yeah.
And they won't miss an opportunity to get another game out. And
Tell you
with
what, I hope we're
Ryusei,
able to actually
yeah,
move forward and backward.
that would be nice. I think Ryusei has some potential. I think it hasn't been ruined yet. But
It does have
with it
first game
being
syndrome.
with it coming out, yes, like EXE, and with it coming out soon here in the States, I think more than anything, the reaction over here in America is going to affect its future. I will admit, earnestly, I do have to question Capcom's decision to end the other series and focus strictly on ZX and Ryusei. I honestly feel like that's a mistake. I feel like their efforts, they should first and foremost remember who has carried them this far. Yes, the customers may be buying the games, but the fans are the ones who are telling the customers to go buy the games. The fans are the ones that carried the
Agreed.
series. I feel like every now and again, that's why they came up with the term fan service. I think every now and again they should remember who got them this far, because I
Throw us a
feel,
bone.
yeah,
We're helping carry you to the finish line.
you should at least acknowledge the fact that
Give us some props.
absolutely. We work hard. We work just as hard as you do because we go out and do things to buy your games.
Well, granted, maybe not literally work as hard as they do, but
I think we definitely put in some effort, and we definitely deserve more than just a passing glance. Maybe
it's
it would
really
be
our
good.
passion for the thing that determines.
Absolutely. The passion is in the fan's heart. It will always be in the fan's heart. You can't take... You might be able to take the fan out of the game, but you will never be able to take the game out of the fan.
And
That's in there.
Once you turn your back on that initial audience, what do you have? What do you to use the horribly overquoted proverb? What are you fighting for?
You really aren't fighting for anything. You're just churning out games in the hopes that someone will buy them, and that's where the series begins to feel Pokemonified.
Granted, if you're a successful game publisher, that's what you want to do, is release a game that people are going to buy, but if there's no soul in it, if there's no reason for making the game other than money...
It's not a game people want to buy. It's as simple as that.
Yes.
People aren't going to want to go out and throw $40 of their hard-earned cash, their greenbacks, the labors, the fruit of their sweat and blood. They are not going to go out and throw that money away on a game that they know they're not going to enjoy, no matter how big of a fan they are of it. I mean, honestly, there are some Rock Band games I wish I had never even picked up. And being a fan, I have to play all of them. But I know that there are other people who don't share that sentiment.
Agreed.
The least that Capcom can do is make those other people feel happy, because it would be nice to have a game that would be fun to play again. That's why I have such high hopes for ZX, because I really see ZX being one of those games that'll be fun to play again.
And now we've come full circle.
We really have. I think the early Battle Network games, though, had something going for them. They had a distinct charm, and I think their charm was in their lack of polish. Because
that could very well be.
By the time you hit 4, 5, and 6, with its perfectly well-rounded edges and its neat, straight-laced,
and the insistence of having the games and the anime relate as closely to each other as possible, and all the various little toys and doodads that they wanted you to buy.
And by that we mean letting the anime control the effects of the games.
Just
One of the things you have to give Pokemon credit for is, look at all of the concepts that the anime introduced, like, hi Jesse, hi James, hi Mouth. You didn't see that taking over the games. You didn't see the goofy little idiosyncrasies that were in the anime.
Apparently you never played the Pikachu edition.
Apparently, no, that's true, I never did.
Yeah, they stick you with Pikachu at the beginning of that game, and you actually fight Jesse and James as you progress.
Fair enough, but that happened in, one game?
Yeah.
The basis of the entire series? No.
Thankfully not. I would have felt totally cheated.
And when you picked up Battle Network 6 and you saw that they had changed Aquaman's name to Spoutman, and Erase Man was from Killer Man, you sit there and you go, oh no, they anti-warriored this. And you sit there and you're like, why didn't they blur the swords as a final parting stab? Why is this not called Mini Bomber? Why are these things not happening to me?
Mini boomers, you mean?
Well, they wouldn't be able to fit that in 8 characters. It would be Mini Bomber. Or Mini Boom. M-Boomer. There would be 2 chips in the library called M-Boomer.
Crap.
But overall, the Battle Network games were a good run. I really would have liked to have seen them continued, but alas.
I would have liked to have seen more, less jumping around deciding how can we experiment this version of the game, how can we, try to make progress that doesn't need to be made.
One version of each game would have been fine. We really didn't need multiple copies. I think the multiple copies were more for the people who wanted to battle each other so that they could say, my Proto-Man pawns! Oh no, my Searchman pawns better, while I use Silver Bullet. While these Guardian it pawns.
And that's also an argument for the series becoming too Pokemonified.
Absolutely, because it basically came down to my level 99 goes up against your level 99. Let's see who can button mash the fastest. Well, watch this. If I shake the Game Boy and pull the wireless adapter in and out while I'm net battling you, I won't take damage.
Oh, don't even joke like that. My friend actually spent hours upon hours maxing out his Pokemon to enter a tournament, and yeah, he got jiggled to a loss. His opponent was jiggling the D-pad and like basically ended up killing his level 100 creature with a level 36.
That's like
That
saying,
should
well,
never happen ever.
if I turn the DS off, it doesn't count as a loss.
Uh
If I throw sand in your eyes, then I can
yeah, let me have Yaito stand over my shoulder and catch the glare of the sun.
win. Essentially, that's what it's become. Cheating always makes a game unfun. It really it does. Cheating ruins games. Don't do it.
You know, as a side moral.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
as far as the subject at hand, yes, you know, after a while the game started, you know, they just started looking at the games as, you know, how can we produce these to make them more appealing to a wider demographic, and you know that's understandable, but like I said, you still have to keep in mind that original fan base you were appealing to, because those guys got you here in the first place. Can't turn your back on them. And I'm not
Remember your
saying that
friends.
EXE 4, 5, and 6 are terrible, terrible games, and that
No.
the first three are the only ones worth playing. No, they all have their merits, but, you know, just after a while it started feeling fresh and new, and it started feeling like forced progress.
It really did. And you should never have to feel that way. Never. It's not. It shouldn't be that way. But next time on iLaser Beams, we will be discussing a interesting and different topic. We will be talking about our favorite anime and manga, and some series that we highly recommend you check out.
New and old.
Absolutely. Classic and new. Everything we feel like talking about.
I
Because
am a total
basically,
old
yeah.
timer. I will make you go to the library and look up some of these titles.
I don't think they're gonna want to check out 12 Ava tapes, Breakman. I just don't think that's gonna. I don't think you can
You
find
know,
it
this is assuming
without,
they can even find an Ava box set that actually
box set.
includes the original episodes 25 and 26. I don't know if those even exist anymore.
I actually went to a store called Replay the other day, and they had an Ava box set, and it was like 12 tapes, and I was sitting there
Oh,
I
wow!
was staring at it in horror, going, I should buy this and use it as a footrest.
But that's a topic for another time.
Absolutely. Thanks again for tuning in and listening to two old and very, very bitter men rant about things that you young whippersnappers can't appreciate anyway. Go
Exactly.
shark your game, enjoy your gospel fire chips, and we'll see you later.
That's right. You
Punks.
get off of our grass stage.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks
Good
again.
night.